Hi again. In this installment of Why Do You Need to Learn Math? I'm going to talk a little bit about why you need math in everyday life. What kinds of things would you use it for? Well, as you start to do banking, you're going to need a checking account, probably, even if it's not actual checking. Usually you'd have a bank card or something. And you want to be able to balance those things out, when you have outstanding balances and so forth. So in order to do that, you're going to have to know how to balance that with the math. You're going to need addition, subtraction, sometimes multiplication. But balancing a checkbook helps you to appreciate how much money you have, know where you're at, and know whether or not you can afford things. Now, going along those lines, there's a little thing called interest. Now, I'll ask a simple question. Do you want to earn interest or do you want to pay interest? I think most people would agree that they would rather earn it. And let's take a little bit of an example on that. In compounding, the way it works is that if you, say you save $100 and then you get, $5 or 5% interest. Well, on that, you get $5 the first year, so you have a balance of $105. Now, in simple interest, second year you have $100, you get 5%, so now you have 110, okay? But if it's compounded, every time they compound it, they take that total, and that becomes your new principal. Now you get 5% of that, so 5 times 5, 25, so you're going to get an extra 5% of $5, which is going to be an extra 25 cents. It doesn't seem like a lot, but now, say you add a couple zeros on that instead of $100, you got either 1,000 or 10,000 now. Move that over, now you made $25. And so the more money you get, the faster it compounds. It's really going to grow. So now, would you rather be making that, or would you rather be owing it? So say you go out to dinner, and that meal costs you $100. Okay? You slap it on one of them good old credit cards. So now you're paying, instead of 5%, let's say your interest rate is 20%. I mean, I know they like to do that sometimes. So 20% of $100. What's that going to be? Well, that's 20 bucks. Now that's, granted, that's $20 a year, but if you just pay the minimum on that, and the minimum is usually just enough to pay off a little bit of that principal. So out of that 20, or out of that first payment, say your first payment is 10 bucks. Well, there's going to be a whole bunch of it that's interest. So for every, just imagine every $100 you have, now you're paying an extra $20 a year for that privilege, for that dinner. And now say you carry that balance because you make the minimum payments. It might take 30 years to pay off that $100 at a minimum payment. The minimum payment on $100 is probably, well, it could get as low as just $1 or something, but usually there's other minimums. So put an extra couple zeros on there and you get the idea that the balance is going to go down real slow. And say it took 30 years, so 30 years, now there's little rounding errors and it's going to be off a little bit in here, but you get the idea. 30 years at $20 a year, let's see, 3 and a 6, 2 zeros. So that dinner now, that I could have paid $100 for, cost me $600 in interest plus the $100 originally. That's a $700 dinner. Now, if I waited until I had the $100, took it out using a checking account and paid it right away, it only cost me $100. And then I could have saved the $600. That's $600 in my pocket, even if I did nothing. If I got zero interest, that's still $600 in my pocket because I didn't spend it on a credit card. Now imagine if you took that $100 that you didn't spend and invested it in something even at 5%. Now you saw in the last example that it would continue to grow. So I think it's a lot better. Wait a minute. I don't spend the money. I gain 0 interest on that amount. 0, I get nothing, but I didn't spend it. And over 30 years, I saved $600 on a 0% investment. Seems like a pretty good return to me. I think I'd want to try to not spend the money if I could do something else with it. But that's up to you. So, checking, saving money, saving it versus owing it can really make a big difference. So every time you're thinking about going out to dinner, I want to spend it on a new toy or something, think to yourself, at 0% interest, if I look at how much interest I would be getting or having to pay, how much money could I save if I didn't buy it? And then you've got to decide if it's worth it or not. And you only know to think about that stuff and how to use your money because you learned how to do math. That's it for this installment. See you next time.